Good evening. Sorry, you know how I do, and I have to make sure that everything is set up properly. Just need a moment. These things sometimes takes very long to reflect on the channel that I am actually live, so that yeah, I don't really know. I don't really know. Okay. Cool. We are live. Um how are you? As I put in the description of this video, and as I've been saying, like, as we've all been saying, right? As has been repeated over and over again in our communities, the veil is totally shattered. And there's something about the awareness of that is becoming a little bit, it's becoming extremely uncomfortable for me, actually, especially on this day. And as I posted via Twitter yesterday and over the weekend and into this week, I am feeling like, so I'd firstly like to just disclose something about my readings that I noticed over the weekend. I do put this in the description of every reading that I do, that while it is that these readings that I do are weekly things, they are intended to be timeless. And sometimes what I read will only be relevant to you maybe days from now, weeks from now, months from now, sometimes even years from now. There are tarot readers who I love, who I've kept up with for years, whose readings from 3 years ago have resonated more now than they did 3 years ago when I tuned in. So that's the kind of thing that happens with not just me, but with this world of divination in general. That is kind of the language of God. God doesn't care about time. God doesn't care about your time, right? You cannot control divine timing. And what I've just said now, I think, links very nicely to the title that I've put, which is to say that it's time to take God seriously. There are many, there are many ways in which this could stick to your brain. And the only thing that I can do with most of these readings is to bring my personal experience into it. But I have to emphasize, along with the fact that there's no actual telling when what I'm saying will come into manifest. You need to do the responsibility of checking whether or not I resonate with you. I can't discern for you. And that's why I highlight that you shouldn't be tuning into my work if you don't feel in your center that you resonate with my work. If you don't fuck with me as a person, if you don't believe in tarot or divination in general, I try to make room for people who are like agnostic or like on the line of atheism. But generally, though, I speak God here. So if you don't believe in God, then you shouldn't be here, right? If you don't believe in me, you shouldn't be here. If you don't believe in tarot, you shouldn't be here. And if you don't feel like watching this video, right? If you're doing this, and while I'm so grateful for every form of support, I really don't want the kind of support that's only supportive for me as a person. I'm not doing this as a person or as a Tandi, where I kind of relinquish my being when I'm present here. I relay my personal experiences to kind of ground myself like on earth and on the topic at hand, on whatever I speak about, on the living experience. But I don't attach myself to my identity when I'm here. So if you're here purely for my identity, then you shouldn't be here. This has to resonate with you in your center. I'm speaking center to center, soul to soul, energy to energy. Reflection of God to reflection of God. And if this truth hasn't reflected in any other reading, then it will absolutely, I fully intend on it reflecting in this one, considering the topic that we're dealing with. It has been long time to take God seriously, but now it feels like if you don't take God seriously, which is also the same as saying if you don't take your consciousness, your energy, your intention seriously, and if you take too seriously this material world, you stay in the material, you stay in the money and the 3D stuff, if you stay too much in this, you will feel totally blindsided by the things oncoming. Again, there's no time to this. I don't know when what I'm feeling into will come into manifest, but I feel strongly that we need to get ready. And this isn't a fear-mongering thing. This is more to say, that we need to ground ourselves. We need to ground ourselves. It's like a storm, but it's not really, because a storm feels, it's more a storm in the sense that there's no way to prepare anymore. There's no use in preparing anymore, because you can't prepare, because it has never been more true that you don't know what the future holds. There is no predicting right now. There hasn't been. I mean, technically, we've all been speaking on this. Okay, yeah, we've all been speaking on the oncoming. Sorry, I was counting the months and and trying to ground where we are in 3D time. There have been astrologers and other intuitives who have all read and like kind of predicted for how unpredictable this point in history will be, specifically 2025 to 2027. And the energy of unpredictability, it goes like this, I'm feeling that it goes like this. Sometimes we get moments to breathe where we can chill, we can calm, we can somewhat feel into what's coming. There won't be too many surprises, and if there are, we can more or less ground ourselves in them. And then there are other waves, huge waves of like what feels like absolute chaos, where, I mean, you'll hear people talk about how they have had days where just so many things just kept happening. There was one absolutely legendary day I once experienced with someone whose car broke down in the parking lot. And when he got the truck to come and tow the car, as that truck was turning the corner outside of his estate, it just lost its wheel, so that the tow truck needed a tow truck. You get me? That kind of frazzle. It feels like that is what may be present in the energy that I'm trying to tap into for this reading. Whenever it is that you read it. I mean, remember it is that you're watching this video. Again, it may be this week. It may be a few days from when you're watching this. It may be months from when you're watching this. Hey, Pearl. It may be years. There's no telling. And what's most important about this, what's most important about the energy of this is that ultimately there's no predicting this. There's no predicting what's to come. And we need to ground us. In order to be most prepared, we need to ground ourselves and get very serious about our intention. We don't even have to focus too much on what we want. We need to focus, and I've read this before. It's starting to feel very, 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 very urgent. Like bing, 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 red, everything. Red lights, alarms, it's all ringing. It's becoming like it feels like we're running out of time. But I don't know. I think maybe this is more to do with like the Saturn transit. And it feels like the planet Saturn itself is kind of warning to say, I'm about to change signs. I'm about to change signs. And it's not just changing to any sign, it's changing to Aries. Saturn is transiting into Aries soon, which is in itself a sign and energy of urgency of now, let's go, now, bing, 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 red, red, red. So that may possibly be what I'm feeling into, but ultimately we have to get grounded. I'm also feeling into I'm feeling into how, and I've said this before, again, it feels like everything about what I'm about to present in this reading is a very magnified version of something I've given in sprinkles over the past few months, spread out in all of my readings. But also in previous readings, I have said that we've reached culmination points. We've reached certain points of some explosion or some coming to wada. So I'm going to show up in this reading to say that, circles are the work of God. So I'm going to be speaking in circles. I'm going to be contradictory sometimes. And that's why I go out of my way to disclose the fact that these readings are intended to be timeless. Maybe some past version of you would have needed this reading. And that past version of you may come up today. You see, none of these experiences are linear. Life isn't linear. God does not work in straight lines. And if you think God does work in straight lines, then the straight lines are all crossing each other and they're making different shapes. And so that's the aspect of God we really need to take seriously, is that God is confusing. God is very, very confusing. And something about that confusion is part of the game. And again, as I've said before, it's supposed to be fun, right? Stop trying to be in control of everything. Stop trying to be in control at all. Obviously, as well, I'm seeing social media blow up with their Saturn return conversations. People are complaining about the fact that, about how Saturn return is it's such a fear-mongering topic. And yeah, there's a lot of fear in the air about that, obviously, which is unnecessary, because fear in itself is totally unnecessary. The root of fear is fear itself. I think that's what that statement. Something about how it's not the experience. It's not the experience that is full of fear. It's the fear of the experience itself. Because once the experience is happening, it's happening. You won't even have time to be scared because it will be happening anyway, So with all of that is why I say that there's nothing else to do but to be grounded, and to do and find all of the things will ground you and keep you grounded as everything happens. I didn't finish my sentence from earlier, that what may be part of the red lights ringing and everything it also has to do with how there are miracles that are due to come in. There are miracles that are due to happen that will actually ring alarms in your head. The miracles that are due to happen to you are so miraculous that they will make you extremely uncomfortable. You're not going to believe that it's happening. You actually will not believe it. You won't believe it. And now when that miracle happens, it will not be, it would be just the shoddiest thing ever if you end up self-sabotaging because you weren't grounded enough to accept the fact that your miracles are happening right in front of you right now. You know, it would be ridiculous if you miss out on the opportunity to fully receive your blessings just because you don't believe that they're happening. And that happens to more people than you'd think, because it's not exactly a moment of pride to admit that you messed up a blessing of yours or a miracle that was due to you because you didn't believe it, because you self-sabotaged, you know? And self-sabotage in itself is something that, like, I think is what's the word? I'll speak for myself. I take for granted how serious of an act it is because my logical mind doesn't understand it. But as time has been going, I mean, something like I Blew It All, that show, I Blew It, that's a pretty good example of self-sabotage. And even that show taught me we're humans, right? We're human beings with our own traumas, with these machines of bodies that have their blockages, that have their own intelligences and their own ways of kind of delaying us and slowing us down and disallowing us from enjoying, processing, receiving, understanding, you know? That is also where the grounding comes in working with your body. So when I think of grounding, I'm more talking about literal grounding, going to the earth, hugging a tree, putting your feet in the soil, like literally making sure your body is hydrated, giving yourself enough moments of stillness in a day to like get ready. Before I said it was like it's a storm coming. Now I'm also feeling like it's like a war. Maybe there may be a lot of like internal battles going on because, like I said, it's difficult to receive your miracles. You pray so long for something. You've prayed for so long for it. It's been so long. And it's been so long that you've been pushed to this limit of being like, well, then maybe it's just not going to happen. And then even further to say, well, not maybe. Doesn't look like it's going to happen. May as well move on. And then it happens. And it happens very, very, very quickly. It happens very quickly. And then what? You know what I mean? And then what? Your heart's racing. You can't even put thoughts together to understand and to process, to be like, oh man, this thing that I thought that wasn't going to happen, that I've been praying and working so hard for so long, it's actually happening right now. And I thought it wasn't going to happen. And I literally just said, no, it's not happening. And now it's happening and it's here in front of me. Blah, 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 blah. You know? That's what I'm feeling is going to happen for a lot of us. And I think the humor in this, and which is why I'm saying we need to take God seriously as well. God is very funny. God is full of humor and jokes. The humor in this will be that a lot of us are assuming that because of the fear, because of the amount of fear that we have, just generally, the fear of the unknown and the fear of a loss of control. The root of that is obviously on a biological level even. The fact that we think that something bad is going to happen. We're just naturally programmed to assume that something bad is going to happen versus something good. The humor is that, as I've been saying throughout this reading, it's going to be something so good that it's going to physiologically feel like it's something bad because we'll be so unprepared for it and so shocked by it that it's happening, that we're seeing it happen. We'll be so flabbergasted that yeah, as I mentioned, the self-sabotage, the fear, the shaking, the sweating, the oh my God, I can't believe it, the disbelief, the unable to process. So this is I mean, if this were just going to be about prepare to receive your blessings or whatever, then it'd be an energy of, oh yeah, I'd better get ready, la da da. And that is why I titled it purely It's Time to Take God Seriously, because on God's level, the blessings, okay, what I'm receiving right now is that on God's level, the blessings that you want, or the blessings that your little ego and your little human life and beep beep boop wanted for you, they've been too small. You need to think big, bitch. You need to think big. On God's level, the lid of big itself, bigger than big, you know? Bigger than big, not even the biggest, bigger than the biggest. You know what I mean? We're dealing with a level of expansion here. When you think of God and you think about this experience, which in itself is a godly thing, there are no limits. There are no limits whatsoever. And that is why I'm receiving as well that grounding is so important. It is completely limitless what is possible. The thinning of this veil, the work that we've been doing, has been, as I've been saying in previous readings, yes, to have fun, yes, to understand and uncover all layers of yourself. Ultimately, it's as well to understand that this experience is totally limitless. You can pull in and manifest and experience anything. Anything. You get me? Anything. There are no limits. Take God seriously by understanding that for real. For real. This is so serious. The limitless possibilities, the things that we can bring in. This is why the prayer of surrendering to God and praying for God to see past you and knowing, giving your life to that divine entity, knowing that that divinity itself knows more and can dream more and bigger than what you can even imagine for yourself. That's why that prayer and that intention is a hack. It's a real hack. So you could get into that as well. Is to start praying for that kind of thing so you can really take it in. Either way though, I'm feeling into intense miracles here and things that are like really like I'm seeing the image of people. And I'm not even seeing it. Let me say I'm feeling it. I'm feeling the image of people getting what they want, having what they want, seeing it, looking at it. But they're still like, no, man. Damn. They're still crying over the thing that they want, but it's right in front of them. And I can feel myself kind of going like, are you serious? Do you not see how it is that you are living your dreams right now? You don't see how you've gotten everything you want? You don't understand that? Are you seriously not seeing how possible life is for you? You don't see how magical life is for you? You don't see how you can do anything you want? You don't understand that? How do you not understand that? It's been mind-blowing. I've seen it for some people already, and it's been really confusing. As confusing as God is. But I mean, at least with God, you know. And it's like, it's kind of, it's, I don't know, it's like it's God's job to be confusing and ridiculous and contrasting. We're just supposed to be here, be humans, be true to ourselves. That's it. But anyway, I'm really feeling into the existence of God right now and the all of God, not just the wow, divine miracles, but the shock, the fear. The whole spectrum is at our disposal right now. The whole entire spectrum and the pure raw energy of God is available for us, has always been, and is becoming more and more available to us as these days go on. And yeah, this game is getting very serious. The game itself isn't serious, but the fact that it is a game at all, that we have the power to play and have so much visceral fun with, that part is getting very, very serious right now. There are going to be more and more moments of coincidences and energetic, intensely spiritual, inexplainable unions and occurrences with other people where you really won't be able to not believe in God. You won't be able to. It's gonna be kind of impossible at this point. And not just believing in God, but believing in the fact that we are all connected. And that, for example, as I tweeted about, there's someone I have 12th house synastry with. His moon is in my 12th house. And I went through a period not so long ago where I was furious at him. I was infuriated. And I was directing absolute vitriol to him. It was terrible. And I could feel it in the moment. But even then in the moment, I was just telling myself, I feel so angry and I don't know what to do with this anger. I just need to let it out. And a few days ago, he randomly comes out to me to say, man, I've been having really scary, terrible nightmares about you. Where essentially you're watching me die and it looked like you were enjoying it. I'll never play that game again. I'm not playing with life anymore. I'll tell you that much. I'm not playing with my energy. I'm not playing with my intention. I'm taking all of that shit so seriously from now on. And that's part of what's making me a little bit unsettled right now, is because it's like I'm aware of the amount of gaps there are between my truth and who I present to be in real life. And as I mentioned a few readings ago, the gap, it needs to be closed. It's closing. It's becoming thinner and thinner. And there's actually somebody else whose username I've forgotten the name of, but she posted a few hours ago about this experience and about how most people, when you hear it about the veil thinning and everything, you'll think, wow, what a magical experience. But she mentioned how, no, it's actually a little bit painful. And yes, it's painful. It's scary. It's a total erasure of what we thought we knew, total erasure of the world and the way that we thought it was, a ripping apart of all of the old. That ripping is painful and scary and unknown and uncertain. And as that gap thins, our ability to manifest, the time it takes for it to manifest, that gap, that time interval is in itself also going to thin. So that we have to watch every second of the thoughts that we think. Every second of our intention is now under watchful eye. So it's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure. But it's also a matter of trusting the body, trusting your heart, trusting yourself in all centers, in all of your centers, and trusting your life. And believing, but it also depends on you and how you understand free will and destiny and all that. But believing that you're meant to be here and every moment is meant to be. And it's all perfect as it is. Yeah. I wish that I actually came. I've released typing notes for these so that I can show up just raw and let what come out, let it out, just let it come out, and let the words and my intention and my thoughts, the downloads, let them do its thing. But I wish this time I had prepared some notes because there is so much to say. There's so much to say about how powerful we are and how much there is about to be understood about how powerful we are and how much control we have over our lives. And to some extent, over other people's lives, should those people agree, obviously. It's a lot. It's a lot. I don't know what I'm pulling cards for. I'm just going to let the cards fall as they may. Whoever's present, please do feel free to let me know how you are. I am so curious to know what everything has been like for you as we approach the I believe that there's a new moon coming up. There's also a Jupiter transit coming up next month. The Saturn transit. There is so much shifting right now. Letting the cards fall. Okay. See what I'm saying? The world, do you see what I mean? There's so much going on right now. And again, as I mentioned in previous readings, I love when major arcana show up because they indicate more than ever, more than anything, I beg your pardon, more than any other cards, more than the minor arcana, that there's nothing for us to do. There is no preparation. The most we can do to prepare is to ground ourselves, find that spiritual practice, tap into your consciousness, unpack all of that, because I think that's also something that's coming up with the falling out of this card. All the shadows of our subconscious behaviors and the reason why we do things. There's no more excuse. If there's anyone in your life who just says, I don't know, that's just the way I am, and they don't understand the root of why it is that they do things, or they can't at least say with confidence that that is how I am and I don't want to change it. Because it's fine if you're aware of who you are, you're aware of the fact that you're not exactly sure about why you do the things, but you're standing 10 toes down about the fact that you're going to do it. That's a whole separate energy. But this energy of uncertainty, of anyone who seems to behave like they do things like out of their own control, that's very scary energy, and you should stay away from people like that, because those are the people that are probably going to experience this energy the most and are liable to do things that don't make any sense. And they're liable to be a danger to themselves, to the people around them, the members of their community. I don't play with people who aren't aware of themselves. In this time right now that we're in, if you're not aware of yourself, if you don't own yourself, own your truth, then I don't know. But thankfully, and I mean, that was the Scorpio in me coming out, reading the shadow and the darkness of it. This is pure light. This is just pure divine conscious realizations, dream realizations, realizations and unions. I am feeling very much a coming together of the right group of people. Romantically, platonically, whatever. I'm feeling so much over the next few months, actually, that a lot of like unions coming together in communities are going to happen. The right people coming together. I've mentioned this as well in previous readings. There's a book that I think is called, I've forgotten, African Unions. It speaks about union energy from the African indigenous context. And they speak about how when two people come together, they don't come together just purely for their egoic desires. They come together under the encouragement of the community, with all involved knowing that these two people coming together have the most ideal compatibilities to create a third thing that will be useful, not just for them too, but for their direct community. That's what I'm feeling is going to be coming out of these few months and the unions that come. These unions are going to feel so whole and so good. And even the occurrences, so not just unions between other people, but unions between you and your own truth, unions between you and like the right job, the perfect job for you, the perfect work environment for you, even the perfect boss, employees, the perfect colleagues. It's all, there's a level of perfection arising that's going to be useful for the communities around them, and that in itself will uplift the collective as a whole. Like it's ascension time. You know what I'm saying? It's ascension time, and it's beautiful. It's very beautiful. And like I said, nothing to fear, but this kind of illumination, you know what I mean? This kind of illumination. Can you imagine what it's like to go into space and to look at the earth from up there, from space, to be far enough from the earth that you can pinch it between your fingers? Can you imagine that kind of existentialism? That major, like almost disassociation, just wow, just complete amazement, like wow, shock, complete shock. That's what I'm feeling. That's what I felt. I just want to tap into the interpretations. I won't read all of them. I'm just going to read the sentences that jump out to me. It feels major for me. I mean, I'm processing this energy in the way that I am because it's already been happening and I already feel extremely uncomfortable. I'm seeing the thing. I'm seeing the divine wowness, and I'm in such a rush. I'm feeling so frantic about it that I want to take it with both hands and quickly be like, no, this is mine. It's mine. Come. Why isn't it happening? It's right there. Let it come closer. Come. And it's like, no, babe, no, like calm down, trust, take God seriously, trust in God's timing. You don't control time, right? Saturn is not my bitch. Saturn doesn't work for me. And Saturn doesn't work for any individual person. Saturn is Saturn. You know what I mean? Spiritual fulfillment and awareness. The successful completion of an important project that resonates on many different levels, which is what I was feeling is the part that's good for everyone. What's happening is going to be good and magical for everyone, not just for the individuals that it is good to or for, not just for the individual people, but for everybody around them as well, and for everyone around them. It's great news, really, really good news. A feeling of love and connection permeating your life, an end and a new beginning. And not just an end and a new beginning, a great new beginning, right? Because death is an end and a new beginning. This is an incredible, miraculous, woohoo, wow, new beginning. Oh, you know what I mean? Beauty, stunning, miraculous, magical, all of the words. Shout out Ngaba. It's wonderful. It's so serious. It's so intense. It's so beautiful. It's like looking at the most beautiful thing you'll ever see. It's so bright. The reader who I'm always yapping about, Queen Cup Tarot, she speaks about in one of her readings, when she speaks about this miraculous showing and revealing of things so amazing you won't believe in it, is like, and it links to the description, the story I was telling. It's like we've been in the dark for such a long time, and that first show of light is obviously going to be so blinding that it kind of hurts your eyes. That's a little slither of light. What we're looking at, what's oncoming, is not just a slither. Do you understand? Do you see this? It's a whole, it's a galaxy. It's a whole energetic node. It's a life. It's a whole life. So it's obviously going to be so blinding that it's going to kind of sear our eyes. It's going to hurt, you know? Let's tap into what kind of, whoa, amazing. Okay, this is interesting. It's interesting because it's the exact opposite. It's the exact opposite of this card. So we have the Five of Cups. You have the Nine of Swords in reverse, and we have the One of Cups in reverse. So I'm going to tap into the Nine of Cups in reverse. I mean, the Nine of Swords in reverse first. It's interesting that these cards fall out as I'm talking about the pain of you know, being blinded by the goodness. By the next phase, really, being blinded by the unknown. We have no idea what's coming, and the fear of it all is very terrifying. I think this may speak of like, so obviously this newness, this new beginning isn't going to just show up. It will be so huge and so life-changing that it's going to necessitate a kind of loss and a letting go of what was before, right? And facing as well that this is not permanent. It's not a permanent thing. Everything is temporary, even the goodness and the divine feelings itself. It's all a cycle. Remember, this is part of the deal. We're not just gonna enter into heaven and then just be in heaven, right? That's not how this life works. That's not what samsara is about. This card in reverse speaks of acceptance in the face of pain, loss, and despair, self-knowledge growing out of hardship, self-imposed isolation, gradually easing, a return to the world. And I think that this is the aftermath of something like this, of having been in the dark, as I mentioned, for so long. It will be a slow one. Thank God that it's going to be gradual. I do think it's still going to be very shocking to the system, all the good that is due to us. Hey, Mancha. Has been interesting. Certain intuitive gifts or insights coming forth in lots of karmic lessons. Absolutely, and I totally agree with you. I've been going through the exact same thing. It's been very, very intense. And as I've read about this Nine of Swords, we have a lot of in order to prepare, the grounding, part of that grounding, the physical grounding. So there are a lot of layers to this. There's a lot of layers to what we've already suffered through. It was trauma. It was traumatic. And there won't be, unfortunately, what we experienced it's not going to be, it can't be grounded away, although that is a good start. And kind of allowing the body's intelligence to take place. When you start doing like body work and somatic work, I don't know if you've heard of somebody go for a somatic session and how the practitioner will warn of the fact that when they are working on your body and touching certain points, you may tremble, you may start to cry uncontrollably. That's the release, right? And as the Nine of Swords in reverse speaks of, that's the kind of like, it's like the physiological acceptance of what happened and of how it changed you, how the loss and the grief you've experienced, the trauma, how it all affected you. Even if on some logical level you can process it, the body keeps score, right? So, yeah, lots of working through that. I think with the coming of this, with the shock and everything that I read on, There may be a lot of waves of unexplainable grief. And I spoke on previous readings about how those waves may be collective grief. It may be like processing the bloodshed and the oppression that the system of colonization has put on us. And while that is the case, I think we do have a lot of individual grieving to do. Like I said, and like the cards have said, in order to accept all the loss and what it has done to you, how it's changed you. Let it come out. Beg your pardon. Let it all spill out. Something about crying may actually bring us to feel this way. So welcome any tears that may fall. Crying will be very good for us to feel this, to allow our bodies to process and be in this literal position. I think it's going to be very beautiful, a beautiful practice. Crying tears, purging. I immediately thought of like the suggestion of taking shrooms, but I don't know if you're the type. Some purging needs to happen. Man, if you're into palazaring, then yeah, I recommend you do that. That was really uncomfortable for me, but I felt the benefits. I felt it. It was so scary, but it was amazing. This has been a painful to step into the light, or it's somewhere that we have mastered sadness and depression and the shadow, and it's time to step into the light. Thank you, Mancha. That's a wonderful supplement to the cards that have fallen out. And then this card, One of Cups in reverse, speaks of stagnation, loss of love, inability to connect with feelings. Yeah. Reversal of feelings, for example, when love turns to anger or hate, repression or denial of emotions. Okay. So yeah, we actually have a lot of crying to do. And a lot of accepting of our shadows. I actually verbalized this over the weekend, that I think that there's part of me that's still afraid of this feeling. There's part of me that's still afraid of sadness and of sitting in this for too long. But the point isn't to be afraid of this. The point is to fear nothing. So that I even still fear this still says that there's more work to do and that there's still a lot of crying to do. I think the way that these have all fallen out, the three of them like this, means that this will be the work that will bring us to this. But this is going to happen anyway, because like I said, major arcana of the world, it's happening. It's already in motion. So don't be surprised if there are tears, crying, processing. But as the title says, all of this is in our efforts to really be serious about God and about the divine, and about the part of God that we don't know. Like, we can understand and know God is all seeing, omnipresent, omnipotent. But God is still so huge and so like, so non-human in comparison to us humans, that there's so much unknown. And that unknown, those shadows and those gaps, is something we could learn to accept and just let do their work on us. Let it spill. I wonder about the stagnation of love, though. I think it has to do with I think it has to do with the loss that we've been through and how that has brought us to this point. I can speak on that for myself personally. Processing the trauma and the grief hasn't been fun. And processing it alongside the stagnation itself, where everything is still. I understand that to some degree, everything is still so that I can process, let everything out, and prepare for the next phase. But I've never been in such a period of stagnation before in my life. I still feel so confused and so like, is it really supposed to be this still? Like, really? But My soul keeps telling me, yeah, girl, trust in the process. And yeah, take God seriously. Take God seriously. It's difficult to do so. It is very difficult to surrender. And I said this in previous readings. This work is so difficult. It's so hard and so tiring. But we're doing it. We're doing great work. Wow. Got so many reverse cards this evening. We have the 5 of Rods in reverse. And we have the 8 of Discs in reverse. And reverse cards, I'm not familiar with them at all. I know them. I think I know them pretty well upright. But reverse, I don't know them very well. So it's going to be a lot of reading, revisiting. The 5 of Rods in reverse speaks of hidden agendas generating strife, hostility, the inability to cooperate or see a wider picture, aggression, territorial conflicts, fear of loss of control. I think that last one is most important here. Fear of loss of control and hidden agendas generating strife. I think has to do with what I mentioned at the beginning of this reading, which was that, I love that sentence, which was the fact that we can release what we want for now and more get to the bottom of why it is that we do the things that we do. What do we intend on? We know what our life will look like, but what is the root of the intention of what our lives will look like? You want a big house. Why do you want a big house? You want luxury. Why do you want luxury? You want a whole bunch of money. Why do you want a whole bunch of money? So that you don't worry. Why? Why? Keep being curious about that so that there's no part of yourself and of this grief that you're processing that blindsides you and gets you to do weird things. Gets you to settle for things that you don't actually want, but you're telling yourself, oh, well, I've waited long enough for this thing. You can wait a bit longer if it is that God promised you. Take God seriously. If it's God's promise, then you can wait exactly for your promise. You don't have to settle. It's not necessary. It's not necessary. This fear of loss of control can become a real danger, especially to the grief that we're processing. I'm also feeling that we may be at risk of being under the pressure of other people's projection because they fear a loss of control or they have hidden agendas and they don't have their intentions clear. With the 8 of Discs in reverse, maybe something about the workplace. Something about the work that we're doing that has weird intentions to it. Maybe we're working for the wrong reasons. Working for survival is so out. Just by the way. Frustration with your work, allowing this to become an overriding concern without considering ways to improve the situation. Sacrificing quality for short-term returns. Right. Lack of concern for your product and customers. Workaholism. Please be aware of escaping through work. Please be aware of being the type of person who dives into work when it's time to grieve and cry. Please be aware of your work and your workaholism being stagnating your love and your ability to feel. Okay, this may be a very specific channeling, but be very careful of that act. I've already mentioned it, of diving into work so that you can avoid feeling and other things. This is a very Capricorn-coded, Virgo-coded, sometimes Gemini, not really Taurus, because Taurus likes to relax. And in that relaxation, grief can come in that stillness. Taurus doesn't mind being still. It's the signs that don't like being still. Please watch out for doing that, because that stagnation and that suppression and that blockage, it's not going to win this time. If you try to block your things and your feelings through work or through distracting yourself. The whole thing of why cry if you can catch a flight? Because you have to cry. Your catching a flight is not going to process your emotions. Crying isn't just for the problem. I think the issue as well is that people think that crying is a bad look, and vulnerability and being emotional. People think it's a bad look, and it's not about what it looks like. Processing emotions like this has nothing to do with what it looks like. It's about your body moving through the things. It's blocked energy that needs to be released. With all of these cards falling out, though, like I said, I'm so grateful that the processing is going to happen anyway. I think maybe this more has to do with people around you, so that if you do have anyone in your life who starts unnecessary conflict out of nowhere, forgive them, for they know not what they do. They're probably projecting. They're probably frustrated in their own material worlds and lives, and it's not yours to take on. You have your own grief. You have your own mission. You're doing your own. You've got your own work. You're having your own realizations. We're all having individual realizations, actually, and that's something that I touched on it earlier. That, like I said, some people are not going to process this energy well. Some people are going to run in the opposite direction of what needs to be let out with regards to this stuff. There might even be a lot of frantic behavior where people are going to say things that don't make any sense. Or they're going to make up things that are just not... This is a random one, though. They might make up things that aren't true. Yeah, it's all to let out frustration. There's a lot of energy in the air right now that needs to be released. Not everyone's going to welcome that release, but if you're tuning into this reading and if you're watching me, then God bless you, definitely will. And all will be well. All will be well. It's going to be intense, but it's going to be well. I'm going to pull one more card, or however many cards decide to fall. Okay, lots to say. These cards keep trying to fall out, but I always insist on cards falling out. They must fall. I don't want them to almost fall or get stuck on my fingers. They must insist. I feel like that's when the energy is clear. Right. Of course, I actually felt that this would fall out. Yeah, so that speaks for itself, honestly. With the world and the wheel, things are going to happen that are just meant to happen. And even this feels like a very deep focal point for me. These frustrations and possible conflicts, nonsensical, unreasonable conflicts, they're all going to be in divine time. It's the wheel spinning, the great wheel. I'm receiving the possibility of divinely timed triggers. So someone may start a fight with you at the exact, in the exact moment when you're in the pit of grief. And you'll think to yourself, what the hell? Why would... You'll think that maybe the universe is trying to torture you or whatever, but it's actually to push you through to push you through acceptance, push you through accepting your emotions, push you through the crying and the possible stagnation that you may be feeling. So, okay, it might be a super triggering time from when you tune into this reading. Triggering in a brilliant way, though. In a really, really, really beautiful, divine way where, like I said, you'll cry and it will be very, very, very good, very cathartic. You will literally feel the release. You'll feel the feeling of lightness after crying. You will feel it. You will feel it. Leave the people who are projecting onto you. I don't think it'll be possible to ignore them, but just know that it's not personal. And if you're possibly someone who projects, then just try to forgive yourself and accept yourself for how you process emotions. You may not be used to the kind of emotional processing that may come out of what may come after you watch this reading. There may be new kinds of emotions that come up that will be a shock to you. I think for me, this will be shocking to me because I feel at this point like I cry enough. Like I already feel like such an emotional person. So these cards falling out is kind of annoying. But yeah, it's nothing I can stop, right? Like I said, the wheel and the world and the 9 of Cups beneath. So this is all for it's for the greater good. It's for your greatest good. I honestly hate that line because, man, with the stillness and the confusion and the frustration and the franticness and the what the fuck is going on, it's been really difficult to remember that everything's happening for my greatest good. But whatever. The world is there. The wheel is there. So what else can we do? What else can we do? It's like the universe is literally saying, girl, it doesn't matter what you think or whatever. I'm in control here, you know? We have a new cycle of life, change, the opportunity to alter. Okay, this is the one. The opportunity to alter your perceptions and thus improve your life. Feeling part of the cosmic cycle, the workings of fate or karma and good fortune. That sentence, the opportunity to alter your perceptions, I think is what's most important here. And the perceptions we're altering are these: the feelings of grief, the feelings of emotional stagnation, the feelings of a loss of love. That's what we have an opportunity to rewrite now. And we may have that opportunity through these moments of frustration and conflict. Try to remember love and empathy, and to practice compassion through these moments of conflict that you may have with other people. Remember your root. Remember your reason. Remember your intention in general. Yeah, anybody who's lying to you about the way that they feel, about what they intend for your connection, them lies are going to come out. There's no helping. There's no more hiding behind. There's no more hiding. There's no more hiding behind anything. So if there's anyone around you who you may feel, who you don't understand, whose intentions you don't understand, or who you don't trust in general, trust that the truth will come out. It may be a bit disappointing with the 5 of Cups. I'm looking at the spread as it is now, and I'm feeling into the possibility of possible separations, but I'm feeling more like it may mostly be, it's mostly material based. I mean, the separation is material based separation, not really romantic or well, maybe community as in platonic network, friendship group, stuff like that. Maybe that's where the frustration and separation will come. But either way, like I said, with the world and the wheel falling out, it's all for the best. And there's nothing you can do to stop these changes. You can only accommodate them by processing your emotions fully, crying when you need to, make sure of that. I always say that, but it feels like now with the amount of intense cosmic energy that's in the air, it'll be more important than ever to give yourself room to cry. Very, very important. Yeah. I've got a lot to process in my personal life with the spread of these cards. It's going to be a little bit hectic, but we are always ready. We are always prepared, and there are some really exciting times ahead of us. Again, something I always say. I sound like a broken record at this point, but very exciting times ahead of us. And I hope you're ready. I hope you're ready for your dreams. I hope you're ready for the new version of yourself. And for how in control you can feel when you release control. When you're willing to release control, you'll be surprised at how in control you feel. Yeah, that's all I've got. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for being present in this reading. I am grateful for every single person that sincerely tunes in and who is connected. And at this point with this video, I'm grateful for you if you believe in God, because that is what God in this universe really needs from us right now. More than more than more than more than what? More than what Christians may talk about with regards to like attending church and keeping up with your rituals and reading your Bible or whatever. Really, at this point, all God needs you to do is believe and have faith and have hope. And I thank you if you can do that. And yeah, let's see what life has for us.